The newly elected EFF leadership has reiterated its party's claim that the Minister of Public Enterprises, Pravin Gordhan, is deliberately destabilising the country's state-owned enterprises in order to make way for them to be sold off to the private sector. They briefed the media on the third day of the EFF's elective conference in Johannesburg.
It is Mr. Julius Malema.
It comes as no surprise that EFF President Julius Malema and his deputy Floyd Shivambu made a comeback to the party. But there are a few unfamiliar faces in the top six. Marshal Dlamini, the Secretary General, Veronica Mento is chairperson, Bobi Moiloa comes in as Deputy Secretary General, and Umpile Maudwe as the Treasurer General. In their first interaction with the media post the election, the new leadership held no hostages, accusing the current administration of creating chaos in the country's SOEs to make way for privatization.
They create this chaos such that it makes it easy for Jamnadas to just literally sell it to the hands of white people. What they're doing to SAA, what they're doing to Dinel, they're also doing it to the diamond mining company. We had the committee 2 weeks back. The CFO, who's a young Indian woman, came to tell us that if there's no cash injection in 2020 February, literally that must close. So it's a strategy of Jamnadas. We are not surprised.
The EFF says it will defend the embattled power utility by all means.
So 2020 is going to be a year of action. The left forces united at the picket lines. The first action must be directed at Eskom. No one is going to sell Eskom under our watch. We're not going to allow that. And we invite everyone who is on the side of the working class to come and occupy the picket lines with us.
In his history of politics, the fiery leader Malema says he has never lost to his political contenders.
My simple thing of being re-elected unopposed or all the time being elected unopposed is very simple. I work very hard. I work very hard. I don't take anything for granted. You give it to me, I will work on it and perfect it. I pay attention to the smallest detail.
The Public Enterprises Ministry was not available for comment. The conference ends on Monday. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Let's get some analysis of the EFF's elective conference and its new leadership. Botsang Moiloa, he's a political analyst, joins me now from our studio in Pretoria. Thanks so much for your time on SABC News this evening. So how would you characterize EFF's second elective conference?
Well, good evening and good evening to your viewers. I think generally it was a very successful elective conference, as it was expected by many. It was well planned, and there's been a number of rumors and talks here and there about how Julius Malema, the leader of the EFF, is a dictator and his style of leadership is dictatorial and so forth. However, listening to his comments at the end of the conference and the clip you just played at the moment, he is actually portraying and positioning himself as a hardworking person who knows how to play the elective conference in games and numbers. And we know that Julius, from the times of the ANC Youth League, he has done that successfully. You can't take that away from him. But we also know that the EFF as a whole as an organization is based on the leadership of Julius Malema. I have said it before that he will go to conferences or elective conferences without anybody opposing his leadership style, not only because he regards himself as a good, successful person in politics, but because of his followers. They believe in him. They believe that he's the right person to lead the organization, and that is what is positioning him above everybody else in the organization. So generally, it was a successful conference, but one has to look at the other outcomes, like, for example, the policy position decisions, the collaboration in the past with the Democratic Alliance, and what holds, the future for the EFF within the South African political climate.
So there's a gender parity in the top six, leadership. Do you think this will change how the party is received by women? Because that's been something that's been pointed out as lacking.
Well, I think they have pushed the position of, equal or balanced, representative of women and men in the leadership of the organization. Especially also you have seen new faces. If you look at the whole leadership balance, they've got on the top three of the people of the top 6 are men and 3 are women. But also what is much more interesting, only 2 people from the previous top 6 have retained their position, which is the leader and the deputy leader. The other 4 people, they were not on the top 6 of the EFF. There were also some of them not even on the central command team of the EFF. So there is a dynamic move, there's a dynamic change, although people alluded to the fact that the people who made it to the top 6 it's people who were on the slate of Julius Malema. Anybody else who was not on the slate, that was not endorsed by Julius, did not make it to the top 6.
Mm-hmm. It's my understanding that you have had dealings with Julius Malema as a former member, if I'm correct, of the EFF, and you wrote a letter complaining about his leadership style. That seems to be coming out in the analysis as well. So what would you say, besides the issues that you've raised, are going to be the challenges with his leadership style going forward?
I do not think, Julius is a very, very smart person in playing politics. I do not think he will have any challenges from today for the next 5 years. If they are there, they'll be very minimal. What he does successfully is to eliminate anybody or anything else that will disturb his leadership for the duration of his term. He has done it in the Youth League. He has done it in the EFF for the first 5 years, actually from the formation of the EFF to the first elective conference. Now he has done it in the second elective conference. Anybody who's going to try and stand on his way, he will not just bulldoze them out of the organization, but he has the ability to use internal processes, whether manipulated or not, to use internal processes to rid off anybody who may destabilize or disturb the organization. And with that, I don't think he will be any, challenged by anybody between now and the next 5 years for his leadership style. Also, we have to respect the fact that the majority of the EFF members, they do not see anything wrong in the leadership style of Julius. And those are the people who have put Julius in that position with those that are on his slate or his following. So if you have worked the ground in politics in South Africa and you've got leaders of the branches and the regions and the provinces behind you as the leader of the organization, chances that those who oppose you or differ with you politically will not succeed in doing that. We have seen quite a number of people, the current leader of the BLF differed fundamentally with the way Julius Malema conducted himself. We have seen the advocate Dalimpof rising against the will of Julius, and we saw what happened here last night. We have seen people like the former leader of the EFF in Gauteng, Zoro Bushielo, being sidelined for differing fundamental and principle. And he tends to get rid of such people very smartly and very easily. But I say that's not for the benefit and that's not for the good of the organization in a long term.
Botsang Moiloa joining us from our Pretoria studio. Thanks so much for your